I'm hitting it now. I'm gonna mute myself.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for our Pride in Tech panel. My name is Sabrina Birch and I am a cloud administration instructor for Codeup, and I'll be moderating our discussion as an ally today. To those watching, we will be taking audience questions at the end of our conversation today, if time permits. So if you have a question, please feel free to drop it in the comments. And we have such a great group of individuals. So I'd like to go around and allow them to the time to introduce themselves. If you could please share your preferred name, pronouns, how you identify within the LGBTQ plus community, and your relation to Codeup.
Hi, I'm Naomi Sweet. My pronouns are she, her. I am a data science alumni. That is how I'm affiliated with Codeup, and I identify as a lesbian, the L of our beautiful acronym. That's me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wilson Velasco. My pronouns are he, him. And I am currently in the data science course here at Codeup. So that's how I identify with Codeup. And then within the LGBTQ community, I identify as a gay cisgender male.
Awesome, thank you all. So we'll go into our first question. What initiatives or policies can be implemented to ensure equal opportunities for career advancement and growth for the LGBTQ plus community?
If it's okay, I'll start, Naomi. So I have worked previously. This isn't my first rodeo within the labor force. So employee resource groups, I believe, are a huge help. I think there's something to be said for creating a space within a company where like-minded individuals and individuals part of the same community can come together and provide mentorship to each other or for each other. I was reading an article about LGBTQ plus representation within upper level management. So far, it seems like gay men we're still underrepresented, but it's still faring much better than LGBTQ women. And so long as we are able to climb that ladder and then make sure our hand is reached out to sort of empower and uplift those that are still underrepresented, I think that would help ensure that there is an equal representation amongst all both genders and orientations.
Yeah, I agree. So we had a rehearsal yesterday and Wilson was asking, like, this question seems kind of vague, like, what does it mean? And I said, you know, a lot of companies want diversity at the bottom of the pyramid, like, you know, like, hey, I'm working for this company and like we're all at the bottom of the totem pole and you've got people in all different departments and like tasks and workforces, and that is where it's all about diversity and inclusion. But as you start to promote and as you're looking at taking leadership roles, as your career is advancing, then we start to see a much narrower demographic. And that is where we see less and less representation for people of color, for women, for LGBTQ. And what I think like is so very critical is we have to change the default trusted demographic, because as you start to promote in these companies or like whatever field it is that you're working in, you're getting farther away from the work and you're starting to work above people who work with the work, you know. So for us, it's data science and we're looking at data sets. But as I'm exploring job descriptions for senior data scientists and senior analysts and like these higher roles, you're not really working so much with the data, but you're working in a collaborative environment and you're taking other data scientists and analysts and engineers and you're organizing all of those efforts together, and it's getting people to trust your expertise as a woman, as a person of color, as a gay man or a lesbian woman or a trans person, like, because right now those people management positions, like straight white men is the default trusted setting. Like that's who the leader is, right? And so shifting away from that and being like, there are so many other types of shapes and colors of people who can like fulfill these roles. And I don't know, like it's systemic. Like how do we shift away from this is the default trust setting and expanding and being like, no, like I can go and look at a woman and see like that's my boss and I trust her and she's going to manage me and my team and whatever.
Yeah, those are, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and to that point, I've definitely seen that lack of diversity in middle to upper management. One thing that I would ask of those managers is to be particularly attuned to those cultural differences, and those exist even within the LGBT community. People who aren't exactly vocal about their accomplishments or their performance, their achievements. We require, and I'm speaking honestly, not just on behalf of LGBTQ, but other minorities as well, right? African American, Hispanic, what have you, people that aren't as vocal about the performance, and just have them provide that mentorship and say, hey, as you're going through your work, make sure you're jotting all this down, documenting all of this, and make sure that is reflected in whatever application or wherever you decide to go, so that people can see that performance and say, oh, okay, like this is somebody that I would want to promote to whatever position.
That's really good. Yeah, I like everything that y'all said, like the initiatives for that and coming up with policies that companies can potentially come up with, and just seeing like the minorities and the diversity and everyone, and everyone should have a chance to get promoted in their company. And I really like all of your thoughts on that. So we'll go into the next question, unless y'all had anything else to add to that. So how can technology be leveraged to address some challenges faced by LGBTQ plus communities and promote equality? Wilson or Naomi, you want to go for which one? Cool.
So I'm just going to start, but please ping pong off me. So I think that a lot of challenges that are facing, particularly the LGBTQ community, it's like healthcare is such a big one, like physical healthcare and then mental healthcare. Like people on the rainbow, is it okay if I say that? The acronym is getting my tongue twisted. But people on the rainbow are so much more prone to depression, anxiety, to alcoholism and addiction, to homelessness. And I think that technology can offer so much assistance in making healthcare more accessible and making jobs more accessible, being able to work remotely. So if, I am discriminated against, or I am having a really hard time finding employment in my little South Alabama town, because everybody knows my business, I have the opportunity to work remotely in San Francisco or New York City or in DC or wherever it is, and then having the benefits of employment in those locations. So now I am better able to look at adoption opportunities for growing my family, or all of the different, healthcare accessibility requirements, whatever. I think that technology is making the world smaller in a good way.
That's great. Wilson, do you have anything to add?
I definitely agree with that. And I think this talks a little bit back to those initiatives and policies where we do experience greater rates of depression and anxiety, and I think eliminating those roadblocks would help us to perform better. So making sure that all employees, but in particularly LGBTQ employees, have access to that kind of healthcare, and making sure that same-sex couples are able to claim their partner on whatever medical plan that they're on, and insurance. So those are some of like the smaller logistics, I would say. Another thing, which actually Naomi brought this up yesterday as well, talking about promoting people to middle and upper management. She was talking about how there was an orchestra in New York where usually the person who gets promoted to first violin or first cello, I guess, tended to be of a certain demographic, right? And then what they did was like take a curtain, have the player sit behind the curtain, and then have the panel of judges listen to clear just the performance of the music, right? Without any visual cues as to what the person looked like. And then only after then were they able to promote blindly. And you can then see that diversity be reflected in the orchestra itself. So when we talk about how technology can help, there's definitely, it's easier to do when you're hiring people onto entry levels, right? But as you're promoted within the company, you have a close relationship with that person. Those interviews are usually done in person. There's less of an opportunity to be completely free of bias when you're looking at candidates. But technology can help that. I think there are definite ways in where people can submit for promotion blindly and have technology remove any sort of indicators of race, gender, sexual orientation, anything like that, and then just look at clear performance. And I think that would probably be one of the ways in which we can help our brethren climb up that
Sisterin and brethren.
Sisterin and brethren.
Perserin.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are really good thoughts. I love that orchestra analogy that she did bring up yesterday, and that was very I liked hearing that. And being able to blindly promote somebody is good for everybody, not just the LGBTQ plus community. Is for everyone to be promoted. So I really enjoyed that. Was there anything else y'all wanted to add to the technologies and how that can be leveraged to address some challenges? No? All right, let's move on to the next question. So what role can Codeup play in advocating for LGBTQ plus rights and representation in the tech industry and beyond? Naomi, did you want to go first, or Wilson?
Sure. I think that Codeup is doing great. Like, honestly, I think that Codeup ruined me. And that when I came out into the industry, I'm like, where are your rainbows? And like, why aren't you as inclusive as the school that I went to? And expecting to see not more of a welcome mat, like not any sort of special or preferential treatment, but a little startled when June came around and, we weren't saying anything about it on our social media platforms or anything. Like, we've got our little promotions for 4th of July and for like end of school, but I'm like, okay, but like, what about this? And not seeing that celebrated or even acknowledged. And I was like, well, all right then. Like, what do you think, Wilson? I don't know if I answered the question at all.
Well, because I've taken a look at the questions, and I think this one ties in very well to the next one. again, I also think Codeup is doing a bang up job. I'm former military, well, current military, but about to be former as of August.
Yay, congratulations.
And thank you. And so I come to this school, and of our class of 18, 17 are military. And not that being LGBT was an issue for me in my experience in the military. Military intelligence tends to be like pretty open, pretty accepting, but I'm always hesitant. And I know things have changed in the military, but you're always sort of hesitant, and like, you become like a little turtle and you're like, okay, is it safe? Is it safe?
Mhm.
But you're right, Naomi. Like, it's not like I want a welcome party. It's not like I want preferential treatment. I just want like an indicator that this is a safe space.
Yeah.
And so when I see instructors wearing this shirt, right, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, oh, this is great. The
Mhm.
little we have a bathroom sign that's like, please use whatever bathroom that best aligns with your gender identity. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
I am in a safe space. I don't have to talk, or I don't have to hide my partner, or like talking about my boyfriend, and always using those like beat around the bush words like my partner,
Trying to talk
my
around it.
special friend. Yeah. Exactly. So I think Codeup is doing a great job. I'll save a little bit for the next question, because there is something about placement that I would talk about.
Okay, yeah. Naomi, did you have anything else to add for that question?
Nope.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I love the culture here, and I love, being able to have everyone be open, and have that safe space for not only students but like employees too. It's really nice. Did you have
Actually,
something?
I did. I forgot. But maybe those in finance will like the fact that I am saying this. There is scholarships for LGBTQ members as well. Nothing huge, right? But it's just like, if you need the money to get a laptop, or I forget exactly what the amount is, because I'm here on Vet Tech, not on that scholarship. But those like small gestures that, again, as I was talking before, removes any sort of roadblocks, and people can just like, okay, I can just focus on the curriculum, focus on what I'm here to do, and not have to worry about like, oh, like, how do I handle my finances? How do I handle the logistics? Like, I had to move here from DC 4 or 5 months, and now I'm moving back. Like, we already have a bunch of stuff on our plate, so trying to make that road as smooth as possible is ideal, and Codeup does do a good job of that.
Nice, thank you. All right, well, we'll move into our next question. How can we ensure that our curriculum and placement process are designed and developed inclusively, particularly to the LGBTQ plus users? Wilson, did you want to go first, since you were saying something about
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk more to the placement process. I think our placement department is also super awesome. Really, really proactive in reaching out to employers and building those relationships, so that when we come in the door, they're like, oh, we have this guy that's all geared up and ready to enter the workforce. That's absolutely fantastic. There are what are they called? Scores? They're not called scores. It's just like best places to work for, and then you have your community. So HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, they also have their sort of ranking of like the best companies to work for that have resources for LGBT for the LGBT community. So making sure that the employers that we are reaching out to are inclusive, accepting, and I guess not discriminatory, or doesn't have a bad rep. Basically, like we wouldn't want to promote those kind of companies and have our guys then go work for somewhere where they might feel unsafe. So just making sure that the placement process is aware of that. And as for the curriculum, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about how to.
It's for us data scientists, like data tends, actually that's not true. Data is incredibly biased, especially when you look at historical data.
Mhm.
But like we can only handle what we're given, so we can't change history. Like we can't bias to data. Or maybe we can, but I wouldn't know how to.
You haven't learned that lesson yet. The next module.
Next module. Got it.
When I was going through the data science program, I remember coming to a point where our instructors were like, hey, listen, there's a lot of bias in data. And like you as little scientists need to use your human experience and your human eyes to look at this raw data and like be able to tell whether it's biased and seeing problems. And then when you're out in the workforce, being able to report this to a stakeholder. And I think that I think that diversity is required because people are more sensitive to different things based on their background. So as a woman, as a lesbian, I will see things that you as a man and as a gay man wouldn't see, and as a person of color wouldn't see, or as a straight person wouldn't see, or like whatever it is. And then being able to report that and saying like, hey, this is skewed kind of over this way, and we should include this feature, or like we need to consider this social problem that you're not even aware of because it's not on your radar, because you know what I mean? And so having the diversity to look at data and say, this is biased and here's how we fix it. So I did cover that in the curriculum, like somewhere in there was a lesson that like data is biased and it's your job to wave the red flag and say, this isn't fair.
I definitely remember seeing that YouTube video. They had us watch a YouTube video, and it's good food for thought, right? Like they bring in a couple of examples of usually related to crime, where people of color and those communities are greater, like crime rates are equal across races, but for one community, it's policed heavier than the other. And that's apparent in the data, but you'd have to know where to look.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are really good points that y'all bring up for Codeup's placement and curriculum, and how we can advance with that and make sure that we are, looking at places, especially that we're sending people to that, aren't going to discriminate against them for being in the LGBTQ plus community or being any certain minorities. So I really appreciate your thoughts on that. Let's move on to the last question that we have here. What steps has Codeup taken to create an inclusive and welcoming environment for the LGBTQ plus employees and students? And I think Naomi had touched a little bit on it earlier. If you want to go first.
Well, right. What we were saying, seeing the signs around Codeup with the rainbow shirts. By the way, I haven't gotten one. Who do I need to speak to get a rainbow shirt?
The manager.
So the rainbow shirts, the signs on the restrooms encouraging, use whichever one you're comfortable with, do what you're comfortable with doing. I've never gotten a raised eyebrow when I mentioned my wife. And that's really nice. Just those small, it's just normal, just normalizing, it's not a big deal, whatever. Don't make it weird.
Yes, exactly. Yes, definitely. As I was talking about before, where I felt like I had to there's always an initial introductory phase, right? And it happens to me every time I go into the workforce. Like I could be in I used to work in San Francisco in tech, and I was still hesitant to be like, oh, I'm openly gay, right?
Yeah.
There's always a feeling out moment that we go through.
The question of like, oh, so what did you do this weekend? I hung out with my wife. How do you feel about that? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And really it's for employees that are here at Codeup, existing as you exist and being who you are without, like, if the employees don't hide, then the students don't hide, if that makes sense. And I'll put this in my like New Year's resolution, like be less apologetic, I guess, or less afraid of just being who I am as well. And again, it's not like being gay cisgender male. It's tough to know that I'm gay unless I'm telling you, hey, my boyfriend and I, right? It's not as apparent. But there are definitely things that I could do to, like, little tokens to be like, hey, just an FYI, like maybe I'll have like a little rainbow something. I don't know. But yes, if I were to do a better job of just being or existing better, I guess, then
you just exist better.
yeah.
No. I think that Codeup does a really good job, and it's not just the employees and the instructors like being who they are, if they are on the rainbow spectrum, like living loud and proud about it, but it's the acceptance and the welcome for like the amount of allies. Everybody at Codeup is an ally.
Very true.
Just both of my instructors when I was going through were straight white men, and they wore those rainbow shirts and were just like, we would share stories about how crazy our wives are and why do they do this like this, and like, and there was a sense of camaraderie even though they weren't on the rainbow.
Yeah, allyship definitely plays a huge role too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love what you just said, Naomi. Yeah, just sharing stories with each other. It's so good.
Right. Yeah.
Shirt one day. Yes, we will. We'll talk after this meeting.
Thank you.
Great. So I really love all of your thoughts to all the questions. That was the last question, so we'll probably go ahead and wrap up. Did y'all have any closing remarks that you'd like to add?
So one of my favorite discussions is, so we were talking about how tech allows for more anonymity, like there's more opportunity for blind testing and blind interviews, and you don't know the employee that you're getting or that you're promoting until it's already decided. But what that does, so here's the conundrum, is what pure anonymity does is it turns everybody into numbers, everything scores, everything's black and white. But we're a rainbow, like part of who we are, and we're so proud of the culture that we have is in this diversity, in this broad color spectrum. So how do you hold in the same hand equal representation, but you're eliminating the features that you would like choose people by, you know what I mean? Like, so how do we ensure that all of the people who are making decisions for our company, for our customers, how do we ensure that we have fair representation while conducting everything blind? So like, what if we do this blind test and it turns out that they're only gay people in charge of this company? Beautiful, but now we're intentionally blind to this other demographic, like what do you do? Race that go, fix it, solve it.
Yeah. We're the data scientists. We should know. We'll come up with a model. Yeah, no, and that's a very Interesting conundrum. I didn't think of that. But yeah, it's again, when it comes to like promoting LGBT rights and this and that and the other, again, it doesn't even have to be these like grand gestures that you do and make sure there's a birthday cake for us on the 1st of June, for kickoff. Because, as much as I enjoy a whole month of Pride, like one of the tongue-in-cheek memes out there is like corporations during June and then
Mhm.
corporations on July 1st, and then everything is black and white
Mhm.
again. Like, just keep that inclusivity, those tiny gestures throughout the whole year, right? And just making sure that everyone feels comfortable to be who they are.
Yeah, I agree. Naomi, did you have anything else, or
No.
Wilson, did you want to add anything else?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's going to conclude today's Pride in Tech panel. I wanted to thank everyone who attended, and also a huge thank you to the panelists for sharing today and sharing all of your thoughts and everything. I truly enjoyed it. And that's going to wrap up today. Thank y'all.
All right.
Great,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.